In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern where we've been discussing these colder temperatures, obviously. But the good news and really glimmer of hope that I have to tell you guys about today is that there is a time frame that we're watching for where we do expect things to warm up in general. This will also bring about more widespread thunderstorms and, your more typical early summer type weather. It's been much cooler than what you would typically expect for late May into early June, but things are about to change in a very, very large way, it appears, according to the models. So let's dive into things, and we're taking a look at these temperature anomalies. Obviously, cold in the east, warm in the west here for today. I want to get us to a more classic time frame. So, like here, as we're looking towards very late on Tuesday, the 27th. We see warmer conditions set up across the western seaboard. We call this a positive PNA pattern, and this is what forces this cold air down into the central and eastern states. And if you're a longtime viewer, or maybe even just a medium-term viewer, and you've been watching through the fall and winter of last year, then you would know that this is the pattern that we saw a lot of from November straight through March, and that's what brought a much cooler winter, especially when compared to the ones before it, but even compared to the actual climate average. It was a much cooler winter because of a pattern that looked a lot like this. And we've seen this pattern sort of get going again. And we see even by Friday the 30th, this is still going. Saturday the 31st, it's still going. Sunday the 1st. But what you're noticing by this time is that there is some warmth beginning to spread eastward. So it is beginning to spread eastward. This cooler air is a lot less intense. So that's overall what we're dealing with here. As we keep going, we see that actually some warm air ends up in the eastern states by Wednesday on June 4th here. So we see this overall warmer pocket beginning to shoot up like a southeast ridge, an inland southeast ridge, you could call it. We still have the warmth over the west, though, which is interesting. And really, the jet stream is something like this by this time frame, where it's a trough in the central, ridge in the west, ridge in the east as well here by Wednesday the 4th. Thursday the 5th is pretty similar. We do see the cold air start to sort of move back towards the east. But look at this. This is when the big change is coming as we're approaching June 9th here. We see actually cold temperatures starting out for the west. We call this a negative PNA, and this actually encourages the warmth to really just shoot into the eastern states. Obviously, it hasn't fully taken hold here for the East Coast, but it will over time if we see this full flip of the pattern occur. And we're getting a lot closer by the 9th time frame, late on the 9th into the 10th. We're getting very close to a full-blown ridge in the east, which would be the return, like I mentioned, of very hot temperatures, much more common for June, and then also thunderstorms as a result of those more warm temperatures. As we take a look at today, obviously it's Memorial Day. We see lots of thunderstorms sparking up throughout the plains. We also see for the deeper south, and this is what we've been anticipating for this trough pattern overall. So it is a bit stormy out there, unfortunately, for some areas. If you guys did have outdoor plans, it might be a little bit tough there across the plains and deep south. And tomorrow on Tuesday, we see these storms sparking up for some of the lower Midwest, deep south, southeast, and even some of the Ohio Valley there. So again, Tuesday the 27th. As we keep going towards Wednesday the 28th, we do see that the overall flow is storms moving further and further northeast over time from the south. So we see this flow from the Gulf up into the east. It's not enough to bring super warm temperatures, but it is bringing that precipitation. By Friday the 30th, we see that has mostly moved out in the form of a 989 millibar low pressure center up there in eastern Canada. We do see these storms starting to spark back up again for the deep south. So we kind of recycle this and get back into a very similar pattern. Saturday on the 31st here, we see activity in the east in general. Monday on the 2nd, same story here. We have a stronger low up there in eastern Canada again. We also have some storms sparking up for the Rockies. It's important to note that with this colder air comes typically lower pressure, and lower pressure typically brings storms. So when you see these colder patterns set up, you do see overall more storms moving in as opposed to a warmer pattern with high pressure and less storms. Looking towards Tuesday the 3rd, we do see that stronger system up there over North Dakota. Going to be watching for some threats of thunderstorms and severe weather there in the northern plains and upper Midwest during this. It's a pretty hefty system. It has a lot of dynamics at play. Could be our next severe weather event. And even by Wednesday, the 4th of June here, 994 there, stretching cold front. does have a bit of a warm front out ahead of it, and obviously this is right around that time frame when we do see warmer air returning to the east, so it'll be warm and humid, likely a lot of thunderstorms and severe weather sparking up along that line. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. Thursday the 5th, that storminess is still around. Friday the 6th as well, it's reaching the eastern seaboard where we have a lot of activity going on here. Again, Friday on the 6th. We're getting into the long range, so take it with a grain of salt, of course. Saturday on the 7th, much drier in the east during this time frame. Sunday the 8th, we get another low in the Dakotas. This one a 985. And if we do get a stretching cold front underneath this low, don't be surprised if this is another severe weather threat. So let's see what happens here. It really doesn't come together like you typically expect. We do get this corridor of thunderstorms for the Midwest and Plains, but it's not classic underneath that low. If we do see a strong low in the Dakotas, I wouldn't be surprised one bit if it actually ends up being a lot more intense than that with the cold front, and we do actually have a threat for severe weather, but time will tell, of course. Hopefully not. And we can see right at the end here, what we're dealing with is a trough kind of for the central states, a pretty decent ridge there in the east, and then pretty neutral in the west. And we end up with a lot of activity here in the central states where, again, that colder air, lower pressure is set up. Total precipitation here, really not too shabby anywhere east of the Rockies, but a couple of areas to highlight is going to be this kind of north central area, as well as the south central states all the way up the eastern seaboard here. These are some highlight areas where you're seeing a lot of activity. Looking at the anomalies, here we do get a drier pocket here across the upper Midwest and Great Lakes in between these areas, but again, where a lot of those lows move through, like the Dakotas and south central Canada, we do have a lot of precipitation compared to normal. And also this deep south area into the southeast and mid-Atlantic here, we're seeing above normal precipitation there as well over the next 2 weeks. Now, looking at the Storm Prediction Center outlooks, here's the day one outlook for today on Monday, the 26th, Memorial Day. We have 2 general thunderstorm risk areas in those lighter greens, and that is where we, as the name suggests, expect general thunderstorms. No severe weather is expected, but anything is possible, especially when there is thunderstorms around. So heed every watch, warning, and advisory, and still be paying attention would be my advice. The darker green area there is going to be your level 1 marginal risk, where we expect isolated severe weather to occur, and that's pretty large throughout the deep south, south central states. And then your level 2 slight risk there in the Texas, Louisiana area, that's going to be where we expect some more scattered about severe weather. And we even have a level 3 enhanced risk there for central Texas, where we expect a little bit more widespread severe weather to be possible. Looking towards day 2 on Tuesday the 27th, things don't move around too much. We have 4 general thunderstorm risk areas, a marginal risk here across the deeper south, and 2 slight risk areas there in the south central states. Definitely going to be a more active day tomorrow as well. And then day 3, things do quiet up, but this does leave room for some slight risks, maybe a slight risk or 2, maybe mixed in that marginal risk for Wednesday on the 28th. But for now, we just have a huge general thunderstorm risk area and a rather large marginal risk area as well to be watching for that severe weather. Again, Wednesday on the 28th. Now, with all that being said, we do upload every single day, so be sure to subscribe. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload, so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.